So one thing we've noticed walking around today is that there are thousands of white pine cones. Uh, White pine being the pine I've been talking about. It's got 5 needles per bundle. If you plucked one off, not that one, sometimes fewer, but very fine textured 5 needle bundles. It's the big pine of the Northeast. So these are the typical cones that I'm sure you're familiar with. They don't do this every year. This is an exceptionally good seed year for white pine. And one good thing about that is, well, the rodents, like squirrels and mice, have a field day and they end up having a pretty good population boost since they overwinter really well during mast. It's called a mast year. But also, these are the years when the pine trees tend to disperse their babies into new places. And a forester that works with white pine and wants to regenerate white pine keeps close tabs on white pine seed years because they'll decide when to operate or accelerate their schedule on a good white pine site to conduct a timber harvest in a white pine seed year. And a typical white pine seed tree, what's called a seed tree harvest, is actually, most people would consider it a clear cut. You'd have on the average about a dozen to 20 trees per acre left. Everything else gets cut. And actually, you want the machine to scuff the soil up and make a little bit of bare dirt, because these white pine has these tiny airborne seeds, like little tiny helicopters, and they have almost no stored energy. They're tiny, so they need to germinate and get their roots down and establish, and they do that best on bare mineral soil. So if they have deep needle duff and leaves, a higher percentage of them will germinate but fail immediately because they won't be able to get their taproot through that duff. So bare mineral soil, lots of sunlight, and timed for when there's tons of white pine seeds around. So there's tons of seed on the ground right now. If you had a timber harvest this winter, would cut everything except a few seed trees, and then you had somebody come in the spring and scuff things up, you would probably get tens of thousands of white pines per acre, babies, and you wouldn't be able to walk through here in 10 years without swimming through white pine on the right site. Pines like dry, sandy sites for the most part, or extremely dry because was sunny, like an old pasture, as the case may be. But